Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, hi, my name is Monica. I like to post anti-MLMs, that's anti-multi-level marketing, and some true crime content here on this channel. So if any of that interests you, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I would love for you to stick around. In today's video, I am bringing you, I guess it kind of goes along the lines of some of the things I talk about on my channel, whether it be anti-multi-level marketing, anti-scam, self-guru type things, because today we're going to be chatting about The Secret. Just FYI, this is all based on the research that I have been able to do. I'm also going to be sprinkling in some of my opinions. I always encourage everyone to do your own research because maybe there's something that I didn't find. And also, our opinions may differ, especially when it comes to The Secret and law of attraction, all of that. If you are looking for great content regarding the law of attraction, I highly recommend checking out two different channels, and that is the Recovering Humbot. Alonda has a number of videos about the law of attraction, along with the Antibot. She also dove into this. If I remember, I will try to link the actual videos below. If not, I'll just link their channels. Along with that, in the middle of my research, I was so excited when I saw that Savy writes books and RK on their channel, Your Morning Guru, that they were covering The Secret. Because this has come up in a number of recent videos of mine, well, I mean, not really that recent, like over a month, but it has come up in my research in certain other types of videos that I was doing. So I wanted to talk about it and I wanted to dive into it and just see what's all the hype about The Secret. I mean, the hype might have something to do with Oprah giving it a shout out, along with Oprah having some of the people that were part of The Secret on her show as well. But without further ado, let's just dive into what The Secret is. This is going to be a long video because I did a lot of research on this one. So anyway, let's just dive right in. The Secret is a self-help book that was written by Rhonda Byrne and came out in 2006. The book was based on an earlier movie called The Secret. The Secret was followed by a sequel called The Power in 2010 that talked about the law of attraction being the law of love, along with also releasing The Magic in 2012. The book has sold 30 million copies worldwide and has been translated into 50 different languages. I will give it to Rhonda. That is very impressive, especially because in my opinion, this is just a repackaged version of everything that's already out there in the world. Just as a quick disclaimer, I forgot to say this in the beginning, that I haven't read the book, but I have watched the movie and read about the book. So I do want to be fair and say that, but I will not be wasting my time reading a book that I know won't be beneficial to me at all. In my opinion, the movie was a little painful to watch. Before I dive into The Secret, I wanted to talk about its author, Rhonda Byrne. Rhonda was born in 1951 in Melbourne, Australia, to Ronald and Irene Izon. She worked as an executive producer for television, and after the death of her father in 2004, she became very depressed. Her daughter Haley told her to read The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles because maybe it could uplift her spirits. It was in this book that she discovered law of attraction, positive thinking, and how to find success in life. That's when she started doing research and The Secret was born. According to Rhonda, she believes that historical people such as Abraham Lincoln, Beethoven, Churchill, along with many others, knew about the law of attraction. I did see that Rhonda made an app called The Secret to Money. I didn't download it, but if anyone else has, let me know what you thought of it in the comment section. One person by the name of Mark Manson from The Observer had something to say about The Secret. Not only did he criticize the book, but in one part of the article, what he said was something that I thought was worth mentioning. Quote, "Call me crazy, but I believe that changing and improving your life requires destroying a part of yourself and replacing it with a newer, better part of yourself. It is therefore, by definition, a painful process full of resistance and anxiety. You can't grow muscle without challenging it with greater weight. You can't build emotional resilience without forging through hardship and loss. And you can't build a better mind without challenging your own beliefs and assumptions. So why would we ever expect that becoming a better person is easy or pleasant or positive? These are all by definition difficult and stressful activities, and I don't see how one could ever do these things while relying on a crutch of delusionally positive beliefs. Sure, perhaps books like The Secret act as life preservers for people who are in such a dark and miserable place that they feel as though they're constantly drowning. But the point of a life preserver is to keep you afloat. Eventually, you have to learn to swim for shore yourself." End quote. I can definitely see where Mark was coming from with this portion of the article. While I don't believe in law of attraction, I do believe in having a positive outlook and that you can make changes in your life. For example, if I want to start eating healthier and being more active, I might read articles or watch videos that will help me be more motivated, but essentially at the end of the day, I'm responsible for eating healthier and working out. On the other hand, I'm also very well aware that with my epilepsy, no matter how hard I think about not having epilepsy anymore and trying to manifest it going away, it's still going to be there. My epilepsy is here to stay unless my brain somehow decides to just knock it off. That's why I find the law of attraction dangerous, not to mention toxic positivity, which also is commonly associated with the MLM industry and parts of the personal development or self-help industry. I know some people find a lot of help from self-help, but other people are just spewing toxic positivity. If you don't know what that is, it's pretty much when you always have to have a positive mindset no matter what. Good vibes only is usually associated with this. It's when you don't allow yourself to have any other emotion besides positivity. Being positive isn't going to fix everything in your life, business, etc. For example, within the MLM industry, what some uplines like to do is have absolutely no negativity in their groups, even if it's a valid thing such as a customer complaint or something like that. If someone in their downline is having a bad day or let's say isn't doing well in their business, just go read some personal development and no negativity allowed. As I've already said numerous times on this channel, it's fine to have a positive outlook, but at the end of the day, we are human beings who have more emotions that we need to sometimes just let out. There's nothing wrong with getting upset, having a bad day, crying it out, eating some ice cream, and then coming back to whatever the issue is and taking care of it. I'll admit, I've had some bad days or just downright frustrating days, and I'll go ahead and ugly cry, then be a completely different person afterwards and be able to be a bit more rational with any decisions I have to make. Before we dive even deeper into The Secret, let's briefly go over the law of attraction and how this idea of manifesting everything in your life even came about. Law of attraction is part of the New Thought philosophy, where one is said to believe that if they have positive or negative thoughts, they manifest the positive or negative experiences in their lives. This is in part because with law of attraction, it's believed that people and their thoughts are made from pure energy. It comes as no shocker that there is no scientific evidence that can back up law of attraction actually working, which is why many refer to it as a pseudoscience. With law of attraction, one is supposed to combine cognitive reframing and creative visualization. Cognitive reframing is a psychological technique that consists of identifying and then changing the way situations, experiences, events, ideas, and/or emotions are viewed. Creative visualization is a cognitive process of purposefully generating visual mental imagery with eyes open or closed, simulating or recreating visual perception in order to maintain, inspect, and transform those images, consequently modifying their associated emotions or feelings with intent to experience a subsequent beneficial physiological, psychological, or social effect, such as expediting the healing of wounds to the body, minimizing physical pain, alleviating psychological pain, including anxiety, sadness, and low mood, improving self-esteem or self-confidence, and enhancing the capacity to cope when interacting with others. Oof, that is a long definition. With no scientific evidence, many calling this a pseudoscience, but also many believing in this, how did this New Thought movement, which in my opinion is quackery, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to offend anybody, but that's just my opinion. Anyway, how did this gain any followers? This was due to a man by the name of Phineas Quimby within the early 19th century. Phineas was diagnosed with tuberculosis during a time where there really wasn't anything that could be done about curing it. He started riding horses and stated that thanks to the feeling he got while riding, it helped with relieving his pain. Because of this, Phineas started studying mind over body, and while he never said the words law of attraction, the following is a statement by Phineas that explains law of attraction. Quote, "The trouble is in the mind, for the body is only the house for the mind to dwell in, and we put a value on it according to its worth. Therefore, if your mind has been deceived by some invisible enemy into a belief, you have to put it into the form of a disease, with or without your knowledge. By my theory or truth, I come in contact with your enemy and restore your health and happiness. This I do partly mentally and partly by talking till I correct the wrong impressions and establish the truth, and the truth is the cure." End quote. However, it was in 1877 that the words law of attraction showed up for the first time in a book written by a Russian occultist, Helena Blavatsky. It wasn't until the 20th century that there was an enormous interest in the New Thought movement with books like Think and Grow by Napoleon Hill, The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale, and You Can Heal Your Life by Louis Hay. The Abraham Hicks material is based around the law of attraction. I would even say that Esther and Jerry Hicks may have been partially responsible for law of attraction becoming more mainstream before The Secret even came out. That, and of course, MLMs encouraged the law of attraction. If we follow this law of attraction belief, does that mean that one of my friends who passed away from cancer at a very young age manifested that? Because he was probably the most positive person on the face of this planet and he still lost his battle. I highly doubt that a beautiful soul like my friend manifested his cancer. With all of that said, let's move on to talk about The Secret. As I said a little bit earlier, I did watch The Secret, the movie. I didn't read the book, but I watched the movie. And it was painful for me to watch, and I'm not trying to say that to cast judgment on anyone who did enjoy it, who did find something beneficial from it or anything of that nature, because at the end of the day, The Secret is, I guess you can say, law of attraction is in a sense a belief system. So I'm not trying to sit here and offend anyone who has certain beliefs or anything like that. But in my opinion, I found no use from this entire thing. I honestly, certain parts of it were very comedic to me and I was laughing at some of the parts. To me, The Secret just screams snake oil salesman repackaged into a self-help book and movie. That's really what The Secret is to me. What I will say though is they had the perfect marketing team. Whoever came up with the idea to market it as a secret was perfect. Naming it The Secret was perfect because this creates hype, it creates buzz. Well, what is The Secret? A lot of people love to know the newest gossip. They love to know secrets and things because it's almost as if in a way when you know about a secret, it's almost as if you're included into something exclusive because not everybody knows about it. So I thought that was perfect that they marketed it as a secret when really it's not. It's just a bunch of repackaged law of attraction. A lot of this stuff, a lot of this, I guess you can call it a belief system. A lot of it is out there for free. You don't have to purchase these books from these people. And we're going to get into that a little bit later of my thoughts on that. But this stuff is all over the internet for free. The movie starts off as saying how The Secret was buried, suppressed, and coveted, making it sound like this is some innovative way of thinking and something that we aren't supposed to know. Well, as we've already gone over, it's just another spinoff of Law of Attraction. I do think that a lot of the things these people experience while they're learning about Law of Attraction is just confirmation bias. Since you know a little bit of background on The Secret and Law of Attraction itself, I want to look into just a few people featured in the book and movie. The reason why is because since my job here is to educate, I want to make sure that I encourage critical thinking and researching on your own. Don't take a person's word for it, including myself. That's why we are going to speak about a few characters from this and go over them briefly to see how reputable and how biased they possibly are. Bob Proctor, who is a self-proclaimed philosopher, participated in this movie. One article said that he's a motivational speaker with a net worth of $20 million, who's also a business counselor and consultant, a writer, and a teacher. Bob Proctor was born on July 5th, 1934, and is a Canadian self-help author. His book, You Were Born Rich, that came out in 1984, is a New York Times best-selling book. It was thanks to this book that he caught the attention of Rhonda Byrne, and she had asked him to interview for The Secret. On his Wikipedia page, there is a portion that says, quote, Proctor, as well as the law of attraction, has been often criticized for being a threat to individuals for suggesting that simply having a sustained thought over time will materialize into reality, whether it be for riches or for health. Furthermore, experts believe individuals may opt for positive thinking instead of physical therapies or medical intervention, end quote. I would have to agree with that because Law of Attraction and The Secret are riddled with this type of nonsense. What I wasn't shocked to learn was that Bob had a poor self-image and little ambition as a child. I'm not throwing shade or anything like that. It just seems like he may have come into contact with law of attraction at a vulnerable stage in his life. He did drop out of high school, and while he was working at a fire department in Toronto, he met someone who told him to read the book Think and Grow Rich. Bob was 26 at the time, and apparently this book changed his life. He started cleaning floors to help pay off some of his debt and eventually would start a company that offered cleaning services. He claims that he made over $100,000 in the first year with no formal education or business experience. This business would expand into London, Cleveland, Toronto, and Atlanta. As a side note, in my opinion, you don't have to go to college or business school in order to be successful. However, I also don't believe that you can manifest everything in your life. Bob would go on to join the Nightingale Conant organization and learned from another person in the personal development sphere, Earl Nightingale. Once Bob reached a high rank within that company, he decided to branch out on his own. Bob started holding seminars throughout Canada and the US. That's where his career really took off. This is when he launched a network of 19 companies that would provide a wide range of services and personal development. The Proctor Gallagher Institute is where Bob Proctor and Sandy Gallagher provide life and business coaching. Their vision is to improve the quality of everyone's lives on a global level by improving the quality of individual thoughts. Sandy attended one of Bob's seminars and said that her life changed afterwards. She was already a successful banking attorney, but after meeting Bob, she knew her life had a greater purpose, which is how the Institute was created. The Institute includes the program 6 Minutes to Success and the Science of Getting Rich. Of course, you have to pay for these programs, and in my opinion, I don't think there's going to be any magical thing being spoken about that you can't find online for free. There are so many people out there selling courses. The Recovering Humbot, who is a professional instructional designer, has gone over a bunch of these courses and how they aren't up to par with industry standards. Also, if Bob is a firm believer in law of attraction, I can't imagine how many different ways you can say that you can attract or manifest wealth and success if you just believe in yourself and whatever it is you want. Not many, if you ask me. He did say at one point that just because you don't understand it doesn't mean you should reject it, referring to law of attraction. He goes on to say that we don't understand what electricity is, but we still enjoy the benefits of it. Sir, that's such a ridiculously flawed argument. These two things are completely different and aren't comparable. For starters, one of them is a pseudoscience while the other one is actual science. He's trying to make an argument by comparing it to something else because he has no scientific proof or proof of any kind really that law of attraction actually works. He ends his, I guess you can call it an argument of sorts, with how he knows that you can cook a man's dinner with electricity and you can also cook the man. I'm not even kidding. Moving on to another person that shows up a lot within The Secret, and that's Michael Beckwith. They refer to him as Dr. Michael Beckwith, visionary in the movie. I had some issues trying to find what his credentials are that he's even able to call himself doctor, but with it not being 100% transparent, I was left wondering if he's a doctor of psychology, where he would have education to back up what he was saying with new thought, or if he's even a doctor at all. That was until I noticed the DD after his name in The Secret. If I'm understanding correctly from this one article I read, the DD stands for Doctor of Divinity. I did have to look this up because I had no idea what this meant. If we compare DD to a PhD in divinity, there are differences. A PhD is an earned degree, while a DD is strictly honorary. Admission to a PhD in divinity is competitive and rigorous. Admission to a DD program is usually non-existent, according to one article. A PhD candidate in divinity will spend years of study researching divinity, while a DD is only awarded to people based solely on a life or religious experiences. Specific churches will award them to individuals who have supported their mission. St. Luke Evangelical Church in LA, for example, offers such an award. In addition, a DD will continue to conduct ministerial and theological work, while a PhD will most likely work in academia. The PhD will likely hold a position in an academic institution that may or may not be associated with specific religious affiliation, and their research may even be critical of religion and religious groups, though it may also be supportive. The PhD will most likely hold the position of professor, while the DD will continue to be a minister, priest, or pastor. That helped me to better understand what this doctor title is all about for Michael. However, he was born in 1956 and is married with 4 children and 6 grandchildren. I'm going to call him Michael for the rest of this, But Michael founded Agape International Spiritual Center in Culver City, California in 1986. In 2015, the center had a congregation of 10,000, and they had numerous outreach ministries that helped the homeless, incarcerated, and youth at risk. If we fast forward to 1996, Michael co-founded the Association for Global Thought, which was an organization that was for all New Thought denominations. Michael did grow up as a Methodist, but left his religion at the age of 16. He would go on to attend Morehouse College in his early 20s because Martin Luther King Jr. was its most famous graduate. He then transferred to the University of Southern California and graduated in 1985 from Ernest Holmes College School of Ministry. As a young man, Michael was arrested for possession of drugs. While incarcerated, he turned to mystical reading. He was released without being charged, but thanks to this experience, he made a vow to himself to live a spiritually purposeful life. This is when he applied as senior minister for a community in Orange County. Unfortunately, the interviewing panel did not feel that the community would accept him because of the color of his skin. All of my feelings aside of law of attraction and looking at Michael as a human, this is beyond effed up. Not only were these people discriminating against him and being flat out racist, but this was a spiritual community that did this. People who are supposed to be doing good things in this world and being better human beings didn't want Michael as a minister because of the color of his skin. No matter what my feelings towards his beliefs are, I will sit here and say that's effed up and racist any normal person would. It was due to this incident that he started the Agape Center. He would go on to be an author of 8 books, he produced 3 movies, and co-authored 120 songs. Michael was a regular guest of the Oprah Winfrey and Larry King TV shows. Due to his humanitarian efforts, he won many awards. While I hope his humanitarian efforts weren't done just to win awards or to become more of a well-known name, I'm going to give Michael the benefit of the doubt that he truly did all of this out of the goodness of his own heart. However, the fact that he is heavily involved with his beliefs and teachings of law of attraction, I do have an issue with that. He was featured in The Secret, and I can see why. While I won't diminish any of Michael's hard work, I wouldn't necessarily think of him as a reputable source for The Secret or Law of Attraction. As previously mentioned, Law of Attraction has been considered a pseudoscience. All of the cast members of this movie, and that's what I will call them, and the book are all working off of a belief. No research or scientific backing as to how or even if Law of Attraction really works. Rhonda Byrne ended up using quotes by many different people in her book and movie. The first one that caught my attention was by Ralph Waldo Emerson because he was one of my friend's favorites, the one I spoke about who passed away from cancer earlier. That quote said, quote, "The secret is the answer to all that has been, all that is, and all that will ever be," end quote. There was one article I came across that caught on to all of these quotes, just like I did, and this is what they had to say about The Secret. Quote, "The Secret and Oprah's role in its wild popularity, she's devoted 2 entire shows to it, and there's a 15-page feature on it at Oprah.com, have already attracted censure. Many reviewers have poked holes in the book's profoundly flawed central premise that our thoughts determine every circumstance of our lives, as well as its promotion of selfishness and self-delusion. But illogic and irresponsibility are not the extent of The Secret's faults," end quote. This is what this article had to say about the quotes, particularly the Emerson one. Quote, "While many of the quotations Byrne uses to prop up her philosophy are shockingly divorced from their context, one has entirely eluded an extensive search for its origin. To be clear, what I have come to suspect strongly is that Rhonda Byrne may have made it up," end quote. I did see another article that said this was a fake quote. However, I'm not going to accuse her because I don't really feel like getting sued. This does raise a question though. If this quote is in fact fake, how many other things could Rhonda Byrne have allegedly made up? I do think she used a lot of quotes out of context to fit her narrative, but we see this all the time in other religions. For example, some people use verses from the Bible and spin it to fit whatever narrative they want. Now, please don't take that out of context. I'm not saying every single person does this, but I have seen it happen. Look at Brittany Dawn, for example. If you don't know who that is, I did make a video on her, but after her biggest scandal of not paying people back who paid for her product and still hasn't paid them back to this day, she started to, in my opinion, almost try to shield herself behind her religion. I'm not saying she doesn't actually believe the religion, but I do find it to be convenient timing, and now she has this very holier than thou attitude towards literally anyone on the internet who doesn't believe in her religion or doesn't agree with what she has to say. Bill Harris, a therapist, is another person who is speaking in the movie. Bill has sadly since passed away in 2018 to be exact. He talked about law of attraction and compared it to a student that he had in his class who was a gay man. This student had apparently confided in Bill about how he was being harassed by people because he was gay. Bill told his student that he's very passionate about the negative things that are happening in his life and he needs to focus on the positive in order to attract positivity. So let me get this straight. According to Bill's logic, this student of his was manifesting homophobic people to harass him throughout his life? That seems to be a bit victim blamey if you ask me. Of course, Bill talks about a happy ending where the student finally started manifesting positivity and the student started living a happier life free from homophobic people harassing or attacking them. With work, within 6 to 8 weeks, his coworkers had either transferred departments, left the company, or just left him alone. I find that hard to believe. If this student exists, I would be curious to know if things did in fact happen the way that Bill said they did. Let's look into Bill a little bit more. He was born in the year 1950 and, as I've already said, passed in 2018. He was a teacher, public speaker, author, therapist, musician, and business owner. Bill was a director of Centerpoint Research Institute and developed his own unique sound-based personal development program called HoloSync, along with other courses. According to the Law of Attraction website, this is what they had to say about Bill's life. In 1979, Bill became an assistant with the Dale Carnegie Training Organization. He has studied and practiced various transformational techniques, both modern and traditional. He graduated from Portland State University. Bill is a student of Eastern philosophy, contemporary psychology, the physical sciences, and much more. Bill also studied music and music composition at Berklee College of Music from 1973 to 1976. He has played the flute, saxophone, and clarinet professionally since 1964. Bill had a host of relevant qualifications, including a certification in neuro-linguistic programming training, I'm not shocked, experience with hypnosis, and long-term interest in both psychological and neurobiology. This unique combination has made him a celebrated speaker at many conferences and a capable therapist who practices cognitive psychology. Bill was known for his ability to discuss and explain many difficult subjects in an easy-to-understand way. He spoke at many seminars and workshops around the world and was a recurring speaker at transformational and scientific conferences. He was able to share the stage with many influential people, including the Dalai Lama, Jack Canfield, Stephen Covey, Sir Richard Branson, and many others. Bill Harris had a sudden and unexpected battle with cancer, which sadly took him in May of 2018. Nonetheless, Bill's powerful legacy lives on. I'm not trying to sound like an a-hole here, and I'm not trying to make fun of someone who has passed away, and I'm going to try to say this as respectfully as I possibly can. But with Bill being a fan and being a believer of law of attraction, with the logic of law of attraction, which a lot of people, if you read or if you watch The Secret, you'll see some people say this. There's one person in particular that says, yes, you even manifest things like a car accident and stuff like that. So with that logic, again, I'm not trying to be disrespectful here. Did Bill manifest his cancer? I don't believe so. I don't believe that at all because I don't believe in the law of attraction. I think it's a bunch of just quackery. But from the logic of people who do believe in law of attraction, that would be what they would think, judging by what I've researched, what I've seen online and stuff like that. So I would be very curious to know from other people who participated in The Secret along with Bill Harris. I would be very curious to know if they too, since he was a very big believer of law of attraction, if they think that he manifested his cancer. Again, I can't say this enough. I'm not trying to be disrespectful here. I'm just trying to put this into perspective of their own logic. Bill's holosync program sounds more complex than what it actually is, in my opinion. When I was reading about it on the Law of Attraction site, once I was done, I thought to myself, okay, so it's basically him just using his experience in music and his beliefs of Law of Attraction and combining the two into a soundtrack that you meditate to. In simpler terms, that's pretty much exactly what it is. Now, I'm not saying it didn't take him time to create, because if he created all of the music on his own, that, in my opinion, is a form of art, and I'll appreciate him creating something that I sure as hell would never be able to do, because that's just not my thing, nor is it a skill I possess. Anyway, let's move on to another cast member of this movie/book, and that is of James Arthur Ray. I made an entire video dedicated to him that I will leave linked below if you want a further deep dive into James Arthur Ray. But in today's video, I'm only giving a brief overview because I cannot talk about The Secret and not go over James Arthur Ray. James was born on November 22nd, 1957. His father was an Oklahoma preacher, and he said at one point in his book, Harmonic Wealth, that, quote, "The hardest part of my childhood was reconciling how Dad poured his heart into his work, how he helped so many people, and yet he couldn't afford to pay for haircuts for me and my brother," end quote. In 1978 is when James dropped out of college and started working for AT&T. He started off as a telemarketer for the company and later was promoted to sales manager and trainer. In the 1990s is when James started his own motivational speaking events. What started off as just motivational speaking turned into something so much more. At his seminars in the 2000s, he started incorporating sleep deprivation, fasting, fire, and glass walking, and he took ceremonial sweat lodges from the indigenous people and, in my opinion, culturally appropriated it to his own liking. Yes, you heard that right. There were many instances of unsafe practices and lack of properly trained medical staff at these seminars. In 2005, a woman from New Jersey shattered her hand during an exercise that was held at Walt Disney World. During his spiritual warrior exercise in 2006, a man named Kurt sustained injuries during an exercise with an arrow that ended up penetrating his eyebrow. The list goes on, and I went into detail with that in my video about James, but the biggest incident was in 2009. There was a spiritual warrior retreat that was held at the Angel Valley Retreat Center in Yavapai County near Sedona, Arizona. Of course, James had another one of his sweat lodge exercises, and participants were told to fast for 36 hours prior to going into the sweat lodge, not drinking any water for 2 days, along with being left in the Arizona desert with just a sleeping bag. Oh, and it was $10,000 to participate. On October 8th, 2009, participants entered the non-traditional sweat lodge. Sadly, after several hours, 2 participants by the name of James Shore and Kirby Brown died. 18 others were hospitalized after suffering burns, dehydration, breathing problems, kidney failure, or elevated body temperature. Liz Newman had died on October 17th after being comatose for a week due to this exercise. James did flee the scene and would later say in an interview this was because he was so scared. James, those people who died must have been scared. The people who were brought to the hospital were scared. The people who watched this unfold were scared. That's just a bullshit sorry excuse. And I'm sorry for getting really upset about this, but it's just an excuse. James was arrested on February 3rd, 2010. His bond was set at $5 million, but his attorney argued that he couldn't afford that bond, so he was released on February 26th after his bail was reduced to $525,000. There were 3 victims that sued James, and these were settled for a total of more than $3 million before his criminal trial. His criminal trial began on May 1st, 2011, and on June 22nd, 2011, he was found guilty on 3 counts of negligent homicide and not guilty of the manslaughter charges. They found that James Arthur Ray was responsible for causing the deaths of the 3 participants who died due to the not traditional sweat lodge. On November 18, 2011, he was sentenced to 2 years in prison. Fast forward to July 12, 2013, where he was granted a supervised release. Before all of this happened, he was part of The Secret and was on CNN's Larry King Live, The Today Show, and of course, Oprah. Within The Secret, he makes a good amount of appearances, but the one thing he asked stuck out to me because it was the most ridiculous way of him trying to connect things back to the law of attraction. James asked the question of, quote, "Do you treat people the way you want to be treated?" End quote. This is not law of attraction at work. This is something that we learn at a young age to treat people the way we would like to be treated. Hopefully, you'd like to be treated well and not terribly, but that's your own prerogative. It's common sense that if you're an asshat, you're going to be treated that way. However, you can be the nicest person and treat everyone around you like they're gold, but you can still have that one person that's going to treat you like absolute garbage, and you might even still get taken advantage of by some people. It's not law of attraction, it's part of life. For the following cast members, I won't be going into full-blown detail with who they are because this video would be hours long, and I think y'all get the idea to look into people who speak on topics like this because none of them have sources to back up what they're saying, and I'm talking about legitimate sources. None of them have any scientific proof that law of attraction works. In my opinion, some of these people may actually believe in this pseudoscience that is law of attraction, while others may have seen this as a money grab. For the next few cast members, I'll be going over stories they told within the movie. Just FYI, there are a lot more people than just the ones I'm going to mention, but you can watch The Secret on Netflix if you really want to watch what they all had to say. The first person on this list is Joe Vitale, who, according to The Secret, is a metaphysician. He says that he's going to be in your face about the law of attraction and tell you that you did in fact attract all of the bad things in your life, including car accidents. He also says that the universe likes when you act fast, so when you get a feeling to do something, just go ahead and do it. This sounds like FOMO. Joe mentioned that when he's asked how long it will take to manifest something, he doesn't have an answer for that. Wow, shocker. Also, that is pure sarcasm. You mean to tell me that you're going to sit here and say that I've manifested everything in my life as if it's a fact, but you don't have an answer for how long it takes besides it can take any amount of time and it all depends on you? In addition, you have no hard evidence that is actually true. So what if it never happens? At one point, there was something that I did agree with Joe on, which surprised me quite a bit, that there would be anything I'd agree with. He went on and said that not all of us want the same person. Not all of us want BMWs or any other things of that nature. He's right in that sense because I sure as hell do not want a BMW, especially after owning one. I do think we're all unique in our own ways, and while we may get along with people who like some of the things we do, we may also have those friends that are completely different. I love my dogs, but not everyone is a dog or pet person. I want a Volkswagen thing, while others think that's the most ridiculous car to ever want in my life, but that's why I want it, because it's ridiculous. With that said, I do agree with Joe on that one thing. Moving along to Lee Brower, a teacher and the story of the gratitude rock. Lee explained that every morning and every night he would hold the rock and think of something or a few things that he's grateful for. He said how he would always carry around this rock that he called a gratitude rock, and a man that he knew that he said was from South Africa had seen it fall out of his pocket. He asked him about it and didn't think anything of it. That was until this man went home and he said that his son was dying from a rare disease, which was some form of hepatitis. Apparently, he had written to Lee and asked if he could send some gratitude rocks to help his son's healing. Lee went out and found 3 rocks down at the stream, of course, because this is the secret and law of attraction that we are talking about. His son recovered within about 4 months, and they started selling gratitude rocks to donate to charity. Another person, Marie Diamond, who is a feng shui consultant, had a client who was looking to settle down and share his lavish life with someone. From what Marie said, it seemed like he was a little materialistic and went out with a different woman every night. Of course, you're not going to be able to settle down and start a life with another woman until you stop living the bachelor life. That's common sense. Once he stopped living the bachelor life, he was able to meet a woman who would eventually become his wife. That's not law of attraction or manifestation. That's changing your lifestyle and growing as an adult into who you want to be. Enter in a woman named Cathy Goodman. This one is a real hoot. She was diagnosed with breast cancer on November 23rd, and she didn't give the year, so that I'm not sure of, but she decided to just say thank you for my healing all day, every day, in hopes that it would help her with her newest diagnosis. Cathy used a law of attraction, and she said that all they would do all the time is watch funny movies that she could laugh. She claims that she was healed in 3 months with no radiation or chemotherapy. Which, in my opinion, is so incredibly dangerous to say that because some people might watch this or read The Secret and they might not seek out medical treatment. Morris Goodman, who has been called the Miracle Man, told his story within the movie as well. He had gotten into a very bad plane accident. Morris was lucky to be alive, but he was told by doctors that he would be a vegetable for the rest of his life. He was determined to be able to walk out of the hospital on his own by Christmas. Luckily for him, he was able to do it. Of course, he credits law of attraction. I truly think this kind of thinking is a danger to society. I know some may think this is an over-exaggeration, but law of attraction seems to victim blame if you attract bad things. And some of these people who are saying it cured their cancer is just so scary. People need medical attention, not to be told to manifest positive thoughts just a little harder. Again, as I've already said, I'm all for trying to keep a positive outlook on life and trying your best, but certain things need to be handled by professionals. People like Rhonda, Byrne, and some people from The Secret believe that leaders in the past have kept the secret from the public to create ignorant individuals who just abide by what they're told and not reap the benefits like the leaders did. One character from this movie, Bob Doyle, said that as long as you don't let anything alter your mood, you're going to have a good day because of law of attraction. Doesn't this kind of sound a little bit like toxic positivity? Within The Secret, they go over the creative process that has 3 steps. Step 1, ask. Step 2, believe. Step 3, receive. Then we have powerful processes, and the main portion of this is to visualize. One of the cast members talks about vision boards and how he was able to achieve everything, and he was even living in the house he printed out a picture of. Jack Canfield, who's in the movie, talked about how his dad said life was hard and that rich people had to scam or deceive people to get there, along with saying money doesn't grow on trees. Jack said his father was very negative and he grew up in that kind of environment. I don't think that all rich people had to scam or deceive someone, but we have to face the fact that there are a lot of greedy people out there who will do anything to make money. Law of attraction is the perfect example of a scam making tons of money. His father was right. Money doesn't grow on trees and life can be hard. You have to work for certain things in your life, and some unfortunately never get to where they want to be. Life isn't easy. If it were easy, how would we learn from our mistakes, for example? There was a lot that I struggled with throughout my life, but it shaped me into the person I am today. It showed me to have empathy, and it showed me just how lucky I am to be here today. Jack credits W. Clement Stone for the shift in his life and getting away from his negativity that his father had. He said that at the time he was making $8,000 a year, and Stone told him to visualize having more in his life. Jack wrote the number 100,000 on a dollar bill because he said he wanted to make $100,000 in a year and he would visualize it. Nothing happened for 30 days. However, then he had an idea that if he could sell a certain amount of copies of his book, that would equal $100,000. Long story short, after some confirmation bias, because all of a sudden he started paying attention to certain things, he started networking, and he just so happened to network with someone who wrote for the National Enquirer. He was able to sell his books, and he made $92,000 that year. Jack goes on to later talk about how psychologists focus on people's past, such as if they grew up in an abusive home or if they went through something traumatic in their life. He calls this the so what and says, now what are you going to do with the rest of your life? Sir, last I checked, you're an author, not a medical professional who can just advise people to go out and do something besides going to speak with a professional. There is something called trauma and mental health disorders. Everyone is affected by their past or surroundings differently. Don't diminish other people's trauma or mental health just because you, in my opinion, think they should just get over it. A lot of people in The Secret took things others have done or said in history out of context, while these people may not endorse law of attraction. I think that law of attraction is ridiculous and dangerous. I know some people will say it's helped them, especially when they were in a vulnerable state, but that's exactly what these people hope for. The people in The Secret are hoping to gain new fans and believers because that's how they make money off of this pseudoscience. I'm a pretty positive person, and I know for some who don't agree with my videos and think they're all negative, that might be shocking for some of you, but I really truly am. Even with my positive outlook, I still have bad days or bad experiences. I wouldn't trade those in for the world though, because a lot of things I've been through in my life have shaped me into who I am today. Growing and learning things as a person aren't always going to be easy, but maybe that's just my opinion. Becoming a better person isn't always sunshine and rainbows. Rather, it's painful, sad, and hard at times. So that is all that I have for you guys today regarding The Secret. I don't recommend watching the movie because it's very painful to watch, in my opinion, but you might find something beneficial from it. I know that there are people out there who are anti-MLM who do believe in the law of attraction and will stick up for it, which is totally fine. You're allowed to have your own opinion about this. You're allowed to disagree with me. And at the end of the day, I hope that we can have a civilized discussion and agree to disagree, because I will never understand law of attraction. I will never agree with it. I'll never agree with what some of the people within The Secret have said regarding them having cancer and then just saying that thank you for my healing and all of a sudden it's gone. I think that this is a danger to society. There was a video that Savy Writes Books recently did on her channel as well that went over certain self-help books and stuff like that. And one of the things that Savy also said about The Secret was the same.
And then finally, The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. I just finished this book last week because this book I was reading for, once again, for Your Morning Guru, where we did Law of Attraction Week. The Law of Attraction is basically stating that if you think good thoughts, the universe will magnetically attract good thoughts to you. Let me get this out of the way right up front. This book is offensive and harmful to society. Now, I've had a lot of people who have told me, but Savy, the law of attraction really helped me when I was in a difficult situation. Thinking positive and seeing the good in things was really helpful to me. And you know what? That is awesome. In fact, I often have a really positive attitude too. I think that there's really nothing wrong with being positive. The problem is that The Secret as a book is not just about having a positive attitude, and it's not about motivating yourself to do some positive change for yourself. It is about magnetically attracting events to you through brainwave frequencies. It never scientifically explains how this works. It just says that it does. And it says, well, Albert Einstein used this, Buddha used this, and it's like, do you have a source for that? Do you have a story about when they used it? You don't? Really? Okay. There's this section. We want to talk about body shaming real quick. There's this section where Rhonda Byrne talks about how if you want to be skinny, you can't look at fat people, because looking at fat people puts fat thoughts into your brain, and then you send out fat electromagnetic frequencies into the universe, which attracts fat to your body. And then she talks about how she used to look at fat people and think fat thoughts, and she got all the way up to, guys, get ready for this. Get ready. 143 pounds. I was like, are you 4 feet tall? Are you 3 feet tall? How short are you that 143 pounds is fat? That's pretty skinny on most people I know. And then she's like, and then I started only thinking skinny thoughts, and I've been 116 pounds since. I'm like, well, that's very skinny on most people I know. Maybe it's fine. Maybe it's healthy on your body type. I can't judge from a distance, but dude, what? Then there was this whole section where this book talked about how, well, a lot of people, when they first hear that we attract everything that happens to us in our life, they immediately think of huge natural disasters and huge tragedies. There's no way that all of the people who were hit by this hurricane or who had an entire genocide were all attracting that to themselves, were they? And she's like, but they were. Even subconsciously, they were all thinking too many negative thoughts, and the electromagnetic frequencies all... And I was like, what the fuck, dude? This book is victim blaming. This book is victim blaming the book. Ever wanted to see victim blaming in action? You read The Secret. This book is every bad thing that happens to you is your own fault because you didn't think enough positive thoughts to send out the right magnetic frequencies. It's disgusting, dude. I know that some people who like the law of attraction say it's worked for them, and here's what I think will work for you. If you're someone who wants more help thinking positively, if you're someone who gets motivated more by positive thoughts and motivation, use that as fuel to get yourself moving. So when I think about something positively, right, or people talk about visualizing a situation that you want to come true. Let's say you're going into a job interview. You visualize the job interview happening. You picture yourself sitting in that environment. You picture yourself meeting the interviewer and answering questions. That can help. Why? Well, personally, I think it's because you prepared yourself. You ran through the whole situation in your head, so now you're going to be less nervous going in and be able to think of it with a clearer head. Maybe by visualizing it, you were able to practice running through your answers to their questions, so now you feel more prepared and more knowledgeable, and you realized anywhere where you might need to look up something that you didn't know or something like that. So using these visualization techniques and using these positive thinking techniques as a way to prepare yourself for a situation or as a way to approach a situation with more confidence, which then can help you gain something good, absolutely. I recommend that 1,000%. But trying to say that we are in control of everything good and bad that happens into our lives because of brainwave frequencies that are never once scientifically backed up in the book, hell no. Hell no, dude.
I know that there are certain anti-MLM people that are still very into law of attraction. I know that there's going to be quite a number of people who are probably not in agreement with me. As I've already said, that's fine as long as we can have a civilized discussion and as long as you're willing to agree to disagree. Because at the end of the day, law of attraction is, I guess, in a way, a belief. In my opinion, it's a pseudoscience, but I guess at the end of the day, it's kind of someone's beliefs. And I'm not going to sit here and argue with someone else's beliefs. You can leave your opinions in the comment section below, but we're just going to have to agree to disagree. So anyway, with all that being said, thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys next time. And this is Monica reporting to you live from a highway. Bye.